Episode 5. Overseas expansion. Colonies depend on strength. After the Renaissance in Europe, people's minds were liberated and more ideas. People in the past had no desires or pursuits. Now they have to live for themselves. The first pursuit is money. What can make money quickly? Doing business. Trading silk and spices. Especially spices. It's very valuable. As valuable as gold. Why are they so expensive? Middlemen make the difference. These goods are all in Asia. Europe. They had to pass through India, Arabia, there are not and only Italy. Middlemen, but also toll collectors. And they are very expensive. Who were the Ottoman Empire? The Ottoman Empire was the leader of the Islamic world. The Crusaders in Europe burned and looted in the Islamic world. They did nothing good. The hatred was huge. Now, the Ottoman Empire was across the Eurasian continent. And it was impossible to pass through. Europeans thought how to get goods directly from India. If it succeeded, they would be rich, and they could preach there. It would be a great achievement, and they could go to heaven in the future. Such a good thing. It was worth the risk. Later, Europeans found a way that didn't work by land. We could take the waterway. Let's go by sea. The first to set off were the Portuguese. There was a prince named Henry in Portugal. This Henry was the third son of the family, and he had two older brothers. According to the throne rules, would not be his in the future. This third prince was quite competitive. He didn't care about the throne. He wanted to make his own achievements. He often led troops to fight in Africa, won, and caught two prisoners. During the interrogation, important news that changed the course of world history, saying that south of the Sahara desert, there was a good place, full of gold and ivory. And Lao San thought, this is my chance to make a contribution. But we all grew up by the sea. We are not professionals in desert trekking. Could we go around it by sea? Well, that's it. I want to engage in navigation. Well, Ozen focused on. He devoted himself to the seafaring business and recruiting talent. After all, he was his second generation more successful. His maritime career was quite successful until his death. He never sailed far away. But Portuguese fleets went further and further. In 1488, sailed to the Cape of Good Hope in Africa. In 1498. Da Gama rounded the Cape of Good Hope. In 1519, Magellan began a round-the-world voyage. Spices from India, ivory and gold from Africa. They were shipped back in ships. In addition to these good Portugal things, also they brought back a special commodity: black slaves. When the Portuguese fleet, as it went further and there was another person who wanted to go sailing. Columbus was an Italian youth who loved to think. The Portuguese were stubborn. To India, there was no need to go around such a big bend. Said that the earth is a ball. As long as he kept going west, you can also reach India. It has to be said that this guy was quite forward-thinking. However, Columbus' family is not comparable to the third son to realize his dream. He needed sponsorship. Columbus took the plane. England, France, Italy, and visited them Portugal. All his ideas were to advance, and his demands were a bit high, but no one paid attention to him. Later, with great effort, finally agreed. In 1492, Columbus led the Spanish fleet. Finally set off. The sailors followed the command. The destination was the east, India, west. At that time, Europeans had just round. Magellan hadn't started his circumnavigation yet. They had no idea how big the Earth was. The fleet was on the endless sea, sailing for 2 months, with skies above. Below was water, and air in between. There was nothing else. The sailors were all broken. This guy always fantasized. There was another world at the end of the ocean. There is nothing. Another said, that's right. I can only rely on alcohol to sleep. Go to sleep. Don't think Dry your tears and don't ask why. Later one day, Columbus was half asleep and he half heard awake. The sailors say, "Brother, what's going on? Why don't you sing? Brother, land. Look at this big piece. What is this place?" Columbus was also excited. Don't worry. Let me calculate. 3.1451. This is multiplied by this addition and subtraction. Hey, isn't this India? We've circled the earth. Bro, look over there. Hey, there are people like this. What kind of people? Indian. These are all Indians. Let's go and ask. Hey, do you have spices in India? What? Spices. Are they fragrant? Yes. It's fragrant. Forget it? Let's look for it ourselves. The Spaniards didn't find spices, but later they discovered many gold and silver mines. Later, an Italian came to investigate and found that this place was not India at all. This was a new continent. He found the problem. This guy was called Amerigo. So the new continent, named after this guy. It's translated as America, but the Europeans didn't plan to change the local people's names. From now on, you will be called Indians, which means Indians. As for how many races you have, languages, and cultures, it didn't matter. What matters is gold. The Spaniards not only occupied the Americas, also occupied the Philippines. Now, both east and west of the earth, Spanish territory. Spain became an empire that never set. That is to say, on the Spanish territory, the sun could always be seen. The upstart Spain also built and called it the Invincible Armada and boasted on the sea all day, relying on navigation. Portugal and Spain, they became rich. Shining on the sea, other countries couldn't sit still either. First, the Dutch sailed all over the world. The Netherlands was originally part of Spain, but there were many merchants here. They felt that the Spanish was a hindrance to their wealth, so they became independent. The Dutch are very business-minded. The third son relied on the king's support to start Columbus relied on his eloquence to raise sponsorship. The Dutch relied on fundraising to start businesses and established joint stock companies. The Dutch ships were cheap, so the freight is low. They are called the Dutch as the carriage on the sea. It doesn't matter as long as they can make money. The Dutch traveled all over the world. Asia, Africa, everywhere. America, nowadays, Oceania was built by the Dutch at that time. New Zealand in Oceania was also named by the Dutch. During this period, the Dutch were arrogant enough to go to Taiwan. They occupied Taiwan for over 30 years by Zheng Qinggong. France was not idle. In North America and they also established several colonies. In North America was the British territory of Lao Yuan. Besides, Britain was originally an island country. And they were also professionals at navigation. Vikings used to come and visit. With this foundation, the British also built a large fleet. They defeated the Spanish Armada. Then, to grab they fought against the Netherlands and France. Britain was quite powerful. The territory they grabbed became the world's largest empire. Now, the title of the Empire of the Sun belongs to me. The sun can shine freely, but they always the money was also spent. No money, we have colonies. So the UK started in the colonies in North America. Money. The people in the colonies in North America why give you not all happy. The money? The British we can't live anymore. We are all Europeans. Are inferior to you. Since you don't treat us as one family, we won't live with you anymore. We want independence. France had just been beaten by Britain and was looking for a chance for revenge. Seeing the British colonies' independence became excited. The brothers in America fought with them. France supports you. The British sent troops to put out the fire, failed. So the United States was born. Later, to commemorate the opening of the United States, which was placed in New York, the Statue of Liberty. After the founding of the United States, rush to expand overseas. After all, there were so many lands to handle. They killed the Indians and drove out the Mexicans. To make room, the Americans came. Originally, the Indians lived peacefully in America, although their way of life was backwards. But they had a large population. After the civilized Europeans massacres and smallpox all at almost wiped out the Indians. With the deaths and no one to work, doesn't matter. There were slaves in Africa. Just ship them over. Colonies of European countries. There were cheap raw materials and cheap labor. Quite a few people became rich and became capitalists. After these people got wanted to manage more things, to make more money. Now, what restricts the development of the capitalist economy are making money are mainly two. One is that these kings and nobles who hold on to their privileges and weaken to participate in many things. The other is the production speed is not fast enough. Too slowly, and the production scale cannot increase. The king delays my making money. The king have a bad year. If they work too slowly, I'll replace them with machines. So Europe started the asset.